Welcome to Wine Plus AI. We're your hosts and wine lovers, Adrie and Seyna. This is the podcast where we break it all down for real people, not the people who are working in the terminal.
Just the truth about AI. What's brilliant, what's broken, and what's straight up ridiculous.
Let's get into it. All right, so we are back with another episode. I'm just going to start out with our topic today. It's all about whether or not AI actually makes you a better human. And before we get into the topic and defining all the things around this topic and what we actually want to cover, as always, I'm going to introduce our wine because, of course, it's another episode of Wine Plus AI. This week, we have a bottle of champagne. Champagne, of course, is crisp, fresh, full of promise. We hope that AI makes us a better human. But there's complexity, of course. There's sharp, zesty acidity, which wakes you up, paired with a creamy, rounded texture. So the sharpness is all about cutting those repetitive tasks. Sharp cut. And then, of course, enriching our lives with a new capacity and creativity and capacity for joy. So the creamy depth.
Can't wait to dig in.
All right. So I'm going to pop it. Hopefully it's been in my bike rattling around. So I'm hoping that it won't. Hey, okay. That went well. All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Definitely tastes like promise.
Definitely.
Hope it makes me a better human.
Yeah, one can only hope. Let's see at the end of the episode. But the question that you asked, does AI make us a better human or can AI make us a better human? I think it's super important to first look at what does better actually mean? Does better mean we can do more, we care more, we're more successful? What's your take on this?
Yeah, so I think the AI space has been completely overwhelmed with faster, automate, replace, save money. And that is right now our definition, sadly, of better. Obviously, as a human and as a person, rather than a cog in the capitalist machine, I really do feel that better means more connectivity, more joy, more creativity. And I'm not sure necessarily AI always delivers on that right now.
I think there are a few aspects to it, though, when it comes to like productivity and the more like functional layer of it, where AI does really benefit as well. So, for example, if you look at the medical world, like the last few weeks, there was a new discovery for a AI enhancement for research in epilepsy. So enabling actually with different algorithms to detect various lesions on the brain in, for example, children with epilepsy. And that has helped find quite a few cases already and help those people get surgery and actually have the quality of life. So I do think there are quite a lot of cases where the functional aspect is really important, but it's definitely not the only way. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I already had a question to you when we were kind of talking about this as a topic that we wanted to cover. But are there any applications so far in terms of learning? Because I think that is a nice soft space between functional and more connectivity where AI can actually help. So I kind of asked more around, for example, autistic children who are underserved by their current learning environments. And I think you already had a story around this.
Yeah, I think AI has a lot of potential and can do a lot of really positive for the world when it comes to accessibility. So if you look at, for example, children with autism or also other disorders, there are so many ways that these children, in this example, struggle to learn with what we consider to be the norm per se. And that can be either from a materials perspective or way of processing information. And with AI, of course, you have a lot more possibilities to create materials that someone that, for example, has autism or something else can actually work with and can actually digest in a way that helps them still learn, but gives them the space to learn how their brain works and not what we consider to be normal.
So also just kind of throwing this out there, I think we're so far as just saying like, yeah, functionally it makes us better, has medical applications, has learning applications, has a whole bunch of applications in terms of productivity. And I sometimes shy away from this feeling of like, yeah, we have to be AI is making us ultra productive, hypothetically. And I sometimes shy away from this feeling of like we're just doing things faster, 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 and then we don't pause to think, should we be doing this faster? Should we be doing this? Should we be doing so much of this? The quantity that it then enables. I think we had this conversation in our episode about LinkedIn content that's made with the AI, that it's facilitated making so much content that, yes, functionally it does enable that, but is that actually good?
Yeah, I think it enables us to do a lot of things in parallel and really focus on the doing. But I do also very much see the risk in it stopping us from thinking and also prioritizing. I see this, for example, in my role in product quite a lot. Like, my biggest piece of my work is prioritizing, making sure we're making the right decisions, building the right features, and bringing the right value to our customers. And if I don't do that piece, it doesn't matter how much I do, and it doesn't matter how many features we build or a prototype using AI, because then I'm not bringing or looking at the value that our customers actually need that will bring them further. I'm just creating a whole lot of mess.
Yeah. So right now, I think we're in this era of a whole lot of mess, AI slop, just everyone doing a lot more faster, but I don't think we're really getting a lot of quality out of this. And I think this is kind of this will be an ongoing discussion, I think, throughout this podcast series, but also throughout the AI conversation in general. But I do want to reflect a little bit around the promise of the interhuman layer of betterness. So I'll give a marketing example that I came across just yesterday. There was another AI product that was being launched, and I saw how they positioned it on LinkedIn, and it was a AI-powered blank designed to help teams work smarter, faster, and with more focus on what matters most, their customers. This is not different at all. This has been going around for every AI-powered product under the sun. And there's that promise at the end, the kind of human layer of it will help you connect with customers. And I think we just don't spend enough time on that. And all of these products and all these things are functionally making us better in that they are helping us work smarter, faster, but without the focus, I think. So what's your take on that? Do you see a lot of people focusing on kind of the interhuman connectivity?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with your take here that I think there's not enough focus on it. I think a lot of the tools, a lot of the AI tools that come out have the possibility to really allow people to spend more time on the interhuman layer. But because of the kind of like chase of doing more, doing it faster, doing more at the same time, people forget what they're doing it for. And then just end up focusing on that and doing more, but don't focus on, okay, and now what do I do with this time, for example, or the resources that I have available to actually lean into the interhuman layer to really facilitate that, which I think is also kind of sad, because the interhuman layer is what also makes work joyful and what makes also, I think, everyone more successful in what they do.
Yeah. And I think, I guess one of the applications that are maybe speaking a bit more direct to this kind of interhuman connectivity is using AI as a therapist. I think if you're in the AI space or even tangentially following some of the AI headlines today, you know that this is a big debate that a lot of Gen Zers, I don't know if you're included in that group, are using ChatGPT as their therapist. And then on one hand, you have to kind of give it to them to say, yeah, they're looking to better themselves. They're looking for better interhuman connectivity, because that's kind of partly what therapy is about in my very limited perspective of it. But is that actually helpful? Do you think it is allowing people to connect more? Is it good advice? Well, is it good advice is another question altogether. But using AI to that end, I don't know. Is it helping us connect better in general?
I personally don't think so. I've definitely been guilty of also putting things to ChatGPT that I would discuss with my therapist usually, just to see what ChatGPT would say in comparison to what my therapist said. And what I've noticed, and what is also kind of the case with all of AI, is that depending on how you phrase the question and the input that you're giving, you are going to hear what you want to hear. And so, for example, if you say, hey, I have this problem, you agree, right? ChatGPT is very likely to just agree with you. And so that can create quite an easy negative spiral where you're getting confirmed with things that might not necessarily hold true if you asked a therapist or 5 professional opinions. And so I think it actually has quite a high risk factor of removing people from reality and the interhuman layer and focusing on just some inputs, which is written or maybe in a voice note or voice to text to ChatGPT, where so many of the cues that also come with you communicating are of course missed because ChatGPT can't read those. So we'll just take however you phrase it and give you a response to that. But that, to me, does not foster interhuman interaction in any way.
Yeah, it's just sycophantic. So I was talking to Job, our CTO, about exactly this. And he said recently, I think this was within the last week or so, they basically said that if you are asking specific questions that are maybe more therapy oriented, as in you are seeking help for a certain social problem, trauma, whatever it is, instead of using ChatGPT 5 or a certain model, it will actually switch to a less sycophantic model because they want to be clear that they are not just there to please you, and it will always encourage you to seek professional help because I think they are now quickly learning from headlines and negative press that this is not a good interhuman. This is not making people better on an interhuman level.
Definitely not. Definitely not. I don't know if you've seen any of the Reddit threads after GPT-5 came out. There is one very big thread on all the people who had a ChatGPT partner.
This I cannot. This bamboozles me.
People were heartbroken.
I know.
Losing their perceived partner.
I can't handle this.
I think that is quite scary, in my opinion.
Yeah. But this, okay, I'm looking at you, Gen Zer over there. Like, what is up? Like, I know the dating scene is hard, but this is insane.
I honestly don't think that is a Gen Z problem, to be fair.
No,
so
okay.
Can't take the credit for that one.
Okay.
I think Gen Z definitely is one of the generations that uses ChatGPT the most and is most exposed to utilizing AI in any context. But I do really think that from what I saw, at least, and from the statistics I saw, there is a lot of other generations as well that are going to the trap. And I think that kind of is a reflection of where we as a society are going wrong in building and focusing on interhuman connections. Because if people feel the need to resort to a AI model to feel that connection, then we're doing something wrong in society.
Yeah, I think I just kind of a sidetrack from this, that as a society, I don't want to put it as that we're all doom and gloom and we're relying on AI to make us connect better with humans. But I did, which is like, I don't know if it's, on one hand, it's like kind of sad. On the other hand, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I get that. Like, you get out there. But it's in response to all of this online dating, also like AI partners, that the New York Times did not an investigation, like coverage of sit at the bar October or sit at the bar September, which is like encouraging singles to go out and sit at a bar without their phones and just meet people and have a drink. And I was like, on one hand, yeah, the fact that like you need to sit at a bar specifically because alcohol is involved to like loosen up and talk to people and connect with people is a little bit like, it makes me feel a little weird. But on the other hand, it's like, yeah, okay, then it's not online assisted, as in like you've been connected via some algorithm to somebody else, or you're connecting with an AI. Sidetrack, of course, but I think there are rebellions against this.
Yes, definitely. I think another good example of that is also Offline Club, who hosts these, like meetups where you're like disconnecting from your phone, or like also getaways where you're disconnecting, which in itself, I think, yeah, as you said, great initiative, but I do think it's a bit worrying that we need those initiatives.
Yeah. Well,
but I do also think there is a positive to it as well. like AI can also be really helpful in communication, for example. So if I look at my family, for example, like some of my family members are from Senegal and they don't necessarily speak English. They speak French and they speak Wolof. And my French is all right, but who are we kidding? If I'm speaking English and German most of my days, whenever I see them, it takes me a bit of time to get back into it. And so from a like translation perspective, for example, AI can be super, super helpful because it helps connect and it helps actually, in my case, for example, bring me closer to my family. But I think that's an exception more than a norm.
I did see, I'm going to Vietnam next month, and I did see that AirPods are now releasing a simultaneous translation, which I'm super excited. I'm very sure I do not have the version of AirPods that will support this, and it's like a ploy to make me buy more Apple products. I might be game. Who knows? I'll let you know. But I would be really excited to try that because you can better connect. I'm a typical American. When I go out on holiday, I want to like talk to people. If I'm standing in line, I'm going to say hi, which is super upsetting for Europeans. They're like, what are you doing? I had this recently. But I do think that this is an application. Translation 100% is an application where I'm like, yes, I love that because then you can connect with so many other people, which the language barrier would simply kind of keep you away. So I think that is also quite nice. And there was, when I was doing the research for this particular episode, I did find that there was an AI product that basically they have trained AI translation on multiple very hyper-regional Indian dialects so that they can now communicate with a larger population. They can also read their government documents. They're more empowered. So I do see that this is one, and it is functional, but it is also interhuman as well in that connectivity that I do see. Yes, when we focus on this, connecting people who would otherwise not be able to connect is quite powerful, I think.
Couldn't agree more. I think those use cases are super, super relevant and super positive also for society. I think another example is also the meta glasses for blind people and being able to actually then hear what is going on around them, which of course they can't see, but it helps them connect more with their environment as well and also navigates the world more. So I think there is, a lot of good opportunities, but the risk of people utilizing it to just do more, I think is a very tough balance to maintain to actually utilize it for the right thing.
I'm ready to talk about like more exciting stuff because this is where we are. We're in the faster phase. And let's get to the better phase. Let's get to like the actually looking at how AI can help us connect. So I want to give us kind of like a practical sum up of this because otherwise it is just a lot of chat, of course, over wine, which is great. And the champagne is promising and has delivered. But I do want to give us a little bit of a practical takeaway from this in terms of like, if you want to use AI to make you a better person, what should you focus on? How should you as a person use it? And how should you cut through all the bullshit of fast and focus on actually being better?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think in my opinion, one of the biggest aspects is always looking back at what is it that you're actually trying to achieve? Like what goals are you chasing? And may that be on a personal level or may that be on a work level? And always putting that at the forefront of everything you do. So if your goal is to interact more or connect more with your peers, look at what stops you from doing so and see how you can utilize AI for those things. And then really focus on the human to human part. So in a work context, for example, I mean, if I don't spend my time or spend less of my time on repetitive things, that means I have more time for my connection piece of my work, speaking to my team members, speaking to other people in the company, and really focusing on the interhuman layer. But yeah, maybe also you have some thoughts from a personal perspective.
Yeah, just picking up on what you're saying about communicating with team members, I do think that AI can help frame your message way better. So when you're delivering tough news or you want to give feedback in a constructive way, I think it can really help organize those thoughts. But me personally, I'm kind of my AI journey is more about like kind of reigniting curiosity because I'm mid-career, I would say. I'm in this kind of weird space where things are changing massively about, what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, what my career is going to look like in the next 2 years, what it's going to look like in the next 5 and 10, who knows? But I do think that using AI to be more creative and be more curious. So test things out, but also be critical about, is this just faster, or is this actually better, is a good question to keep in mind. And that's the message that I want to leave our listeners with, because I think we need to be asking that, because otherwise we're never actually getting to that later end of this very generic promise of more efficient, saves money, helps you do things faster, and frees up your time. What about the free up your time? What are you doing with that time? So use it wisely, because you now have the power to take that time and you have the power to use it.
Absolutely. And doing more and more is not necessarily the answer to that.
And if you're curious, we are also launching more and more content on thejoylab.ai. This is our Substack where you can find this podcast, but we're also now launching, I want to say, thoughts from our CTO, Job, who is working with LLMs, building an AI product every day. And he's an amazing writer. I'm really happy about it, but you'll get all of his inner musings, which are made for not just tech people, but people who are interested in AI, want to use it for the first time, or have been testing it out. It's his innermost thoughts about what's going on and what's going wrong sometimes. And it's really fun. So check it out there.
That's it for this week. You know the drill.
Like, subscribe,
and see you next week.
Cheers.